Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Well, I cannot understand how a leader of a party that only has matric as his highest qualification can then attack the ANC for CADRE deployment. Because what CADRE deployment is, initially you have selected a person who is not deserving or not qualified to be in that position. So you are telling me the DA does not have anyone that is more qualified to be a member of parliament than John Steenhuisen with his matric? The DA has went to Gauteng to launch a billboard about CADRE deployment and how they're going to stop it if they win the 2024 elections. It does not make sense to me, but let's give them a benefit of a doubt and let's listen to what they have to say.
Important message to the people of Gauteng, but also to the people of South Africa. And there it is. And that is the key message in this election, that if you want to crush corruption in South Africa, we have to end CADRE deployment once and for all in South Africa. Every single problem that we have with corruption can ultimately be traced back. The genesis of it was CADRE deployment. It would have been impossible for the capture of the state that has been so easily laid out in the Zondo Commission's volumes. The terrible story of state capture would not have been possible had it not been for CADRE deployment, because you had to deploy the cadres into those government departments, into those parastatals, into those boards, and into those departments before you could begin the project of state capture. And that is why we regard CADRE deployment now as the root of evil in holding us back from being able to build a professional, merit-based public service where people are selected not on the color of the membership card in their back pocket, but are selected on their ability to do the job. And every time where you take skilled people and you push them to the back of the queue, and you take people who are not qualified, who are not the right person for the job, people who've got a history of corruption, and you put them at the front of the queue, the people who suffer the most at the end of the day are the South African people. It is the reason why we're sitting with stage 4 load shedding. It is the reason why our ports and harbors do not work. It is the reason why every single parastatal that the government has touched is in deep trouble. It is the reason why government departments are unable to do even the most basic of functions. And we have a key promise and undertaking that we have made in this campaign. And that is simply this, that if you elect the DA into being part of a new majority in South Africa, we will, within 100 days of any new administration post the 29th of May, table in Parliament and pass the End CADRE Deployment Bill. Now make no mistake about it. This bill will not allow for CADRE deployment from any party, no matter who is in power, whether it's the DA, whether it's the IFP, whether it's the EFF, no matter who it is, it will end CADRE deployment once and for all.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I am your host, King053, Mr. Easy Imali Enengi. Guys, thank you for coming. Today we are speaking about CADRE deployment. Before we do any of that, we're trying to reach 20,000 subscribers before the end of this month. Please click the subscriber button and make sure that you always hit the like button and leave your thoughts on the comment section. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, CADRE deployment is a sensitive issue. You guys know how I feel about CADRE deployment. If you don't, maybe it's the first time you're tuning in. I'm going to refresh your mind. Don't worry. You cannot be a political party that does not employ its own cadres. Now, the quality of the cadres, it's totally the party's fault. When it comes to government position, you need someone that has a political assignment to achieve, and not only an academia. You just imagine if Nelson Mandela did have a mixed cabinet in terms of his ministers when he first came in, getting these ministers there and there. He did not totally remove all the ministers of apartheid. But in the departments, you have to employ your own cadres that have fought the struggle with you. Now, the DA is trying to make this a criminal act, as if they don't practice cadre deployment themselves. We had former DA members coming to speak to the public and say, listen, the DA is doing this. You cannot employ anyone without speaking to the federal leadership of the DA. You cannot employ anyone in a high position, in a high government position, without speaking to them. What's that racist lady's name again of the DA? Helen Ziller. So it is to my shock and to my surprise that now, sometimes when you think you are doing something to spite someone, because white monopoly capitalists are now attacking Cyril Ramaphosa. That is why you see the DA feeling free to attack him, because white monopoly capitalists does not want Cyril Ramaphosa anymore. They don't want him anymore. So now they only want the cadre deployment interviews and documentation information from 2013 and from the period where Cyril Ramaphosa was the deputy president of the ANC, of which makes him the head of deployment in the ANC. Now, the issue is, what is going on here? In 1 month time, of which will be close to our election, they will be trying to take Cyril Ramaphosa to court to account to all the cadres that they've employed. And they are saying, because the ANC has failed to obey the court ruling, Fikile Mbalula is now in contempt of court, the same way as Jacob Zuma was in contempt of court, and they are expecting to write a letter to the court that the same punishment that was given to Jacob Zuma must be given to Fikile Mbalula, because he did not comply to the court's findings.
Much more that the ANC needs to hand over. I can now today announce that they have failed to respond to our lawyer's letter, which gave them 2 working days to comply, and therefore the DA is currently drawing up court papers for a contempt of court application against Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, who is not only the deponent on behalf of the ANC in this case, but who is also listed on the ANC's own website as the information officer responsible for the processing of requests in terms of the Promotion of Access to Information Act. We will be using the precedent created in the Zuma matter because there are very important similarities. The ANC is now in contempt of an order that was confirmed by the Constitutional Court, just like Zuma was, and we are going to be demanding equal treatment where Jacob Zuma was sentenced to a jail term for contempt of the Constitutional Court. We will be asking the court to uphold that same standard for Fikile Mbalula.
Obviously, that is not going to happen. John Steenhuisen has only a matric from Boys High, I believe in Durban, from Boys High. That's where apparently, because I've seen other reports that say that he does not even have that matric. But let's give him a benefit of the doubt and say he has a matric. He graduated. He passed his matric in Boys High. Today, he is the leader of DA. Without any qualification, he is a member of parliament. Is that not cadre deployment? Somebody help me understand. Because you are not going to come up the ranks It is crazy to think that anyone can come up the ranks of any political party only to be stopped at the end of the road when he needs to be deployed for a position, and be told that there's another person who is not in the political party that is serving in that is a better suited candidate for that job. We saw Cyril Ramaphosa doing this mistake when he employed Andre de Ruyter, and I'll always keep on making this example to show the stupidity of employing outside your ranks. The ANC has qualified people that can run ESCOM. They were there. It's just that you did not like them as the public because they were linked to Jacob Zuma. But now, when Cyril Ramaphosa came in, state capture came in, the Zondo Commission took out Brian Molefe, and then you had a situation where they had to appoint a new CEO of ESCOM. And guess what? Cyril Ramaphosa went and appointed a person who's not in the ANC. Need I remind you that Andre de Ruyter is the reason why we find ourselves where we are today. Excuse me, my sinuses are giving me problem today. He is the reason why we find ourselves where we are today with this ESCOM issue. I don't buy that nonsense that the corruption is the reason why we are where we are today. The corruption of Jacob Zuma and the Guptas and so on, because that's what they want you to believe. So Cyril Ramaphosa, now as the president of the country, decided, no, I need to employ better. Let me employ outside. And he did not go for the most qualified person. You know, the board did not recommend this Andre de Ruyter. Andre de Ruyter was recommended by Pravin. You see? So now, what is going on with this CADRE deployment? Where is the DA trying to go? Because when it backfires, when they have to release their documents of CADRE deployment in the Western Cape and everywhere in South Africa, it's going to come back to bite them. It's going to come back to bite them. This is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. I am totally against a political party employing outside its ranks. Not in government. Andre de Ruyter did not have a political assignment to keep the lights on. He had an assignment by white monopoly capitalists to kill ESCOM, and kill ESCOM he did. If it was a CADRE, you tell a CADRE straight, just like they are doing now, don't switch off the lights, switch them off. Switch them on, switch them back, and at this time and age, EFF is in KwaZulu-Natal, let it be stage 6. Whenever there's someone that's switching off and switching on these things, you are very foolish if you don't think that is the case. Because all of a sudden the Springbok is playing, no load shedding. All of a sudden it's New Year, everyone is at home using electricity at its peak, no load shedding. And now the EFF is in KZN, let's get it to stage 6. State of the Nation address or January 8th statement, no load shedding. You see what is going on here. It's crazy what is going on, ladies and gentlemen. It's embarrassing. I say make sure that every political party encourages people to study and make sure that people are qualified to be deployed in position, just like the EFF, you know, they say uzofunda ngenkani. So Jacob Zuma is also saying the same thing at the MK, to say the people must study. There's no young man that must roam around the streets doing nothing. EFF is leading by example. The top leaders, Osis Umpil have got the MBL, they have studied those people. They have studied those people. MBL, yes, Masters in Business Leadership or whatever it is. They have studied these people. They have studied. So for me, if you yourself, you are not a qualified academia who has a master's in at least political science, you don't have any post-matric qualification. How can you talk about CADRE deployment? Because you yourself Mr. John Steenhuisen, you are an example of CADRE deployment. You yourself, there's other people who are more qualified than you. Why is it that you have to be a member of parliament? Why must you be the leader of the DA? Because the people voted you in. The same must apply for the ANC. The people voted these people in, and then they must lead. If a president of that political party chooses those people to run a portfolio, then they need to do it. But if those people are not qualified, then it is the fault of that political party. You understand what I'm saying? But the political party must find within their ranks who is better suited to run that department and assist and give that person the necessary support by surrounding them with academias, surrounding them with educated minds to help him execute. Because most of these academic minds, because they don't have a political assignment and they don't know how to deal with people, they never grew up in any youth structure, any community structure. They don't know how to deal with people. They do policing. They don't know how to deal with different characters. But when you grow up in politics, you know that this is how we deal with this type of character. This is how we deal with this type of thing. And when you have a mandate from the president coming down, this is how we execute it. And you just have those qualified people to say, no, but this is the way of executing it properly. Go through the supply chain processes, do this, don't do it like this, do that. But I'm not going to, as the ANC, employ a member from COPE or a member from Build One South Africa, or a member. That's crazy. You're going to kill, because those people don't care about you losing power. So the sabotage can be there because their position is solidified. So they're not gonna care if the MEC, if the premier, if the minister gets fired, because they are on the ground working. Oh, we've already talked too much. So yeah, that's what I would say. I want to hear what you guys have to say about CADRE deployment. Do you think it must be open for all, like John Steenhuisen is suggesting? And another thing is this. Listen to this one as my closing remarks. With a lot of qualifications that is going to be put forward, a lot of people in the DA are going to be always left behind. It's going to be the white elites, and the whites and the white privileged and the black elites that are going to get jobs. The rest of you who are in the DA, you only have a diploma, you only have matric, but you are a great leader. You will never find deployment because you are not qualified. You won't be the best person. You understand what I'm saying? So if you are in the DA and you are a community leader and maybe you are not, you don't feel like going back to school again. You left school 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and you don't feel like going back to school, but you know how to run the community affairs as a councillor, as you know how to run these things. To say, I know how to run my ward. I know how to run my district. I know how to run my community. You should not be qualified to be in that position because you are not the highest qualified person. So the DA can employ someone from the PA. All open for guys. I'm just waiting for the ANC because they also did ask for CADRE for the employment papers of the DA to say, how did you employ from this period to this? We're just waiting to hear what the DA is going to say in response to that, because I'm telling you, a lot of that is going to come out and it's going to come back to shoot them. I'm sure they have prepared their papers in such a way that it will make them look clean. But somewhere, somehow, they're going to be caught off. They're going to be caught. So yeah, guys, make sure that you are subscribing, guys. Make sure that you are, we are moving to, the garage. I think by the 1st of March, we should be in the garage. The lights have arrived. I must just go pick them up at the take a lot pickup point and make sure that I move to the garage. The mics are here. We're just waiting for. We're trying to do our best to make sure that the quality is here. My main issue is the background. The background is very important. So thank you so much for everyone who's supporting this channel, guys. You guys don't know how much encouragement you give me when you send that 15 rand, that 10 rand, that $50, whatever you guys are sending. For me, your hard earned money, I don't take it easy in this tough economical time for you guys to support your boy King. It means a lot. May God continue to bless you and enlarge your territory, guys. For those who have clicked the subscribe, you're making the channel bigger and bigger every time. I appreciate that, that type of support. I mean, I don't have words to say, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism. I salute you.